Hello again, boyos and girls. So, Mad Wolf here, obviously, with one of my favorite posters right there. Yeah, check that out. And that's actually a bit of a hint at what I'm going to be ranting about today. I'm going to be talking about the Terminator series, which, if you guys seen my videos, you guys seen me play games and stuff, you probably already know Terminator is one of my childhood favorite characters, whether he's a hero or a villain. When I first saw him, I was like 3 or 4, and he was my hero. Terminator was my hero. It was Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and so I'm actually gonna try. Well, no, I'll just do it in chronological order. So, The Terminator is, I believe it's 1984 action thriller movie. Now, I say it's an action thriller movie, but when I watch it now to this day, it feels kind of like a slasher movie, but with guns. I don't know what it is about guns, but it doesn't really make it a horror movie. But this movie really is about a serial killing robot that is basically targeting anybody named Sarah Connor. Now, for you guys who haven't seen the Terminator movies, let me get you into some story. John Connor is the future leader of the Resistance in the year 2029, where he's fighting the machine overlords, the machines that nuked the planet, and he is just gonna bash their metal skulls in. So the machines have an idea. Let's send a Terminator back in time and kill his mother before he's born. Before he's even, conceptually conceived. So the human resistance sends a lone soldier back in time to actually stop the metal bastard from killing John Connor's waitress serving mother. Yeah, this pretty much has the premise of a slasher movie right there. I mean, let's face it, slasher movies don't exactly have the most in-depth stories, but in the Terminator sense, the way that they did the movie is actually pretty good. The way they did the storytelling. This is written and directed by James Cameron, and it also stars Michael Biehn, who is from the Aliens movie, and Tombstone and The Rock, and some other things. Most of the stuff he's in, he dies. I'm gonna say that. And yeah, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is kind of like what Arnold is known for, in case you don't know this. He is known for the Terminator, to the point where his nickname as the governor of California was none other than the Governator. I am the governor, and I am here to governate the people's eye. Originally, from what I understand, they wanted Lance Henriksen to be the Terminator from Aliens. The guy who plays Bishop in Aliens, they wanted him to be the Terminator. And interestingly, he is in this movie as a police officer. But I actually do think that if they did that, they probably were going to do this originally as a slasher movie. And it's pretty interesting. Kyle Reese, the characters, the way they did the characters is pretty good. I try to do these without getting into spoilers, but yeah, I mean, there's really not much else left to say about the Terminator. It was this 80s movie, time-traveling robots, time-traveling human soldier guy who's trying to save the mother of the future leader resistance person. And it's got some really great action. When I first saw it, it was the TV version, so there's a lot of things censored. And but there were a lot of things that caught my interest. For example, there's a scene where the Terminator gets damaged. He gets shot in the face with a shotgun. So you actually see him, he goes into the mirror and you see the face is kind of all swollen and messed up. And he takes out his fake eye. And yeah, as you can see, the Terminator, he has that red skeleton eye thing going on. So yeah, he's got these fake human eyes. And yeah, you actually see him plucking this out and then taking the towel. And you could tell it's fake. by today's, special effects standard. But at the time, it looked pretty good. And I don't really like the original Terminator that much. I respect what it kind of started and the technology involved, and it had some really good scenes. For example, the scene where the Terminator skeleton is rising from the fire, and it's just like, I'm just gonna kill it. It doesn't say I'm gonna kill you, but like you just see that look in its eyes, and it's just like, I want to kill you. Once again, kind of total slasher monster villain. But next, I'm gonna get into Terminator 2: Judgment Day, which is actually the first Terminator movie I saw as a child, and the reason why I look at Terminator as my childhood favorite hero. So, Terminator 2: Judgment Day came out, I want to say 91, late, I want to say it was 91, 92. And this time, Arnold comes back, he's going into a bar, he's beating the crap out of these bikers, steals their clothes, he's off. Now we have this other guy show up, played by Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick just blatantly kills a cop right off the bat, takes his uniform and drives off. They're both looking for John Connor. We already know Arnold is a Terminator, so what the hell is going on? Well, as it turns out, Arnold is actually the good guy. And, I mean, once again, this is kind of like the staple in the new Terminator movies. Arnold is the good guy. Arnold takes care of John Connor. Arnold is a reprogrammed Terminator that the Resistance in the future basically kidnapped. How do you kidnap a Terminator? Would that be kidnapping? They basically brainwash a Terminator, okay? They reprogram him into their Resistance cult and then send him back in time to save their leader. It's for good reasons. It is for good reasons. But I call that some brainwashing cult goddamn bullshit. So, yeah, now Arnold Schwarzenegger is a good guy. And that makes Robert Patrick the bad guy. How the hell is Robert Patrick the bad guy compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger? How is he gonna... Oh, he's made out of liquid metal. So, yeah, Robert Patrick plays the T-1000. Experimental liquid metal prototype shapeshifter. Has some really cool special effects with the T-1000. Really great action scenes, namely the motorcycle chasing the diesel truck, chasing the dirt bike. And, it's up to Arnold and his lever action shotgun and his M79 grenade launcher to stop the T-1000. Eventually, they basically conceived the plan, why don't we destroy Skynet before it comes to being? And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. I don't want to get too much into spoilers and stuff, but that's to summarize it. Terminator 2: Judgment Day, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the greatest action movies of all time. Avengers ain't got nothing on Terminator 2: Judgment Day. The effects are practical. They are there. T-1000 is CG, but at that time, that CG was phenomenal. And he was like the only thing in that movie that was CG. There's some other things, but I can't really think of it off the top of my head. Terminator 3. So, as a child seeing Terminator 2, it took me... I figured a Terminator 3 was on the horizon. It took about 10 years for this to come out. When I saw it in theaters, I liked it. When it came out on DVD, I liked it. The more I watched it, I'm like, this is an awful movie. And I started to realize all the scenes, all the setup, everything is spot on from Terminator 2. The only difference is they tried to make it funny. You don't make the Terminator funny. Now, Arctic did argue with me at one point, and she's like, well, it's still a fun movie. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, it's still a fun movie. As far as I'm concerned, it's not nearly as great as Terminator 1 or 2, because it really doesn't do anything new. Short of make the Terminator, the bad Terminator, have boobs now, and she could just pretty much reprogram machines to serve her at will. And she has a gun built inside her arm. But yeah, pretty much it's Terminator 2, but with a different ending. Plus, they screw up the Terminator lore by calling the T-800 Terminator, that's these, skeleton Terminators, a T-101. Now, I realize that's some nerd fanboy crap, but I've played too many Terminator games to know Arnold is a T-800. He is not a T-101. He's Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. What that means, I don't really know. I don't know if that's yeah, I don't know if that's a software or what, but yeah, the T800 is the skeleton design. They even talk about the 600 series in the first movie having like this fake skin and they were very easy to spot and blah blah blah. So Terminator 3 kind of sucks. In my opinion, it's not great. It's not really that bad either. It's kind of Alien Resurrection kind of scale. But yeah, and then we fast forward about another, I don't know, 5 years, and Terminator Salvation was coming out. Now, interestingly, this was during the comic book craze, like the golden age of comic book movies, and we're still going on in that. But yeah, it's like, dude, Terminator Salvation comes out. In the first trailer, I see John Connor is played by Batman. Really? Freaking Batman? Batman is going to be the future leader of the resistance. Okay, that is. I'm like, yeah, I'm still disappointed with Terminator 3, so I'm not gonna go see Terminator Salvation in theaters. Well, some time had passed, and I don't know why, but I had gotten on a post-nuclear apocalyptic kick, so I wanted to watch the movie, and I rented it. And props to my brother for actually talking me into seeing it. Because it is good. It actually pays tribute to Terminator 1 and 2. It actually gets it right as far as I'm concerned. It's PG-13, so there are some things that have been dumbed down, but it really doesn't feel like it. And the synopsis of this one is they're fighting the T-600s. Kyle Reese is a child, Kyle Reese from the first Terminator, and he's trying to survive with his friend in LA. And someone from the past who was like he was a convicted criminal, sent to death row. He died. Now he's back, and he doesn't understand what the hell is going on. And interestingly enough, this movie gets into both a prototype Terminator and the T-800, the Arnold Terminator. And even though Arnold is not actually in this movie, they just use computer-generated images. The T-800 finale is just awesome. He is just this unstoppable juggernaut. And it really does remind me of the first Terminator movie, where pretty much nothing could stop this thing. He is determined to kill humans and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought Terminator Salvation was great. Maybe it's not perfect, but I actually consider Terminator Salvation to be the true Terminator 3. Terminator 3 actually should have been like an offshoot movie or like a TV show or something. So, speaking of which, I never really saw the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I seen some like parts. I turned it on and I'm like, this is dumb. I'm not watching this. And I even showed a trailer to Arctic, and I'm just like, yeah, doesn't this just look dumb? And she's like, wait, they're fighting in an elevator and these people walk in. Don't they notice the battle damage? And I'm like, nope. Yeah, that happens. So, moving on to the movie that just came out. It was either last year or the year before that, but Terminator Genisys. And I remember everyone like losing their shit over this movie. Arnold's finally gonna be back in it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be the Terminator. It's gonna be a reboot. It's gonna be a sequel. We don't know what the hell it is, but it's gonna be great. If you have people saying that, chances are the movie's gonna be terrible. And it was. So, in a way, it was a reboot. They pretty much set up Kyle Reese meeting John Connor again, and it's nothing like Terminator Salvation. So they're basically like, oh yeah, Terminator Salvation, that didn't happen. We're also retelling what happened in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. For starters, Terminator 1. Okay, Terminator goes back in time. Those punks in the first movie. Yeah, well, now they're not dead, because now we have another Arnold sent back in time, and he's older. That concept is actually cool. That Terminator ages to try to make himself more human. That actually kind of makes sense. I mean, his skin and everything is supposed to be real. It's supposed to be like harvested from real people. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, he's going to stop all these things. Kyle Reese is now played by Jay Courtney, who I don't think is a really great actor, but he does a pretty good job as Kyle Reese in this movie. Sarah Connor is actually played by, I don't know her name. She's from Game of Thrones. And I have to say, I hate her as Sarah Connor. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I'm just like, wow, I do not like you in this movie. Get out of this movie. Get someone else. I'm sorry. Yeah, she just, there's things, she doesn't feel like Sarah Connor to me. She's like, oh, I'm calling the Terminator Pop because I have to call him something. Yeah, that's a little too goddamn cutesy to be Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor is like, what the f is it? What the f is going on? That's Sarah Connor. She's a psycho bitch. She's not cute. I don't know what the hell Game of Thrones chick is doing. So, interestingly, I'm gonna have to kind of spoil it here, but Sarah Connor in the first movie hooks up with Kyle Reese. They together have John Connor. That doesn't happen in this movie because Sarah's just like, I don't like Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese is an asshole. Blah, 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 blah. And she's just acting like a spoiled bitch. Well, John Connor's already in the future, and he was able to send Kyle Reese back in time. So, if they don't really get together, John Connor can't conceive. Oh, but here's the real twist. John Connor's now the bad guy. That's not really a spoiler. They show this in the trailers, and this makes no goddamn sense. Why? Because John Connor has essentially been reprogrammed, or has been turned into like this cyborg Terminator thing by Doctor Who. I'm not kidding. Matt Smith, the guy that plays one of the doctors from Doctor Who, actually is Skynet. And he makes John Connor the bad guy. He sends John Connor back in the past to kill his own parents before they have sex, and they have a little baby John Connor, and then John Connor can't be the future leader of the Resistance. And what the hell? To make matters even worse, like, they even point this out to John. If you kill us, you won't exist, genius. His reaction? Oh, I'll still exist. How the hell does that make sense? That is like the worst argument I've ever seen in a sci-fi movie. Oh, I'm your child, but if I kill you before you have sex, I'm still gonna exist. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that. Furthermore, Kyle Reese meets himself as a child in the... Wow. Like, that should... Every sci-fi movie, that should explode, like, the time-space continuum thing. Like, you're not really supposed to meet yourself, because it creates a time paradox. A super big time paradox. Granted, we have a child trying to kill his parents. It's freaking weird. This movie is just weird. And I cannot. I can draw the physics, the time, space physics and everything out, and like it'll just turn into a garbled mess. Okay? That's what this movie is. It's a garbled mess. To make matters even worse, they even send him not just back in time, but somehow in '84 they were building a time machine. Sarah Connor and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're gonna send him back to the future. I think it's to like 2015 or something like that, to the point where Skynet is pretty much coming into being. Okay, so we're totally forgetting Terminator 2, which is by far one of the greatest action movies of all time. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. Okay, so they're gonna do that. They're gonna send him into the future. Wait a minute. The future is full of infinite possibilities. How do you know you're sending them to the right future? Because hell, if this is a movie series where they say, aren't we changing things? Aren't we changing the way things go? And creating all these new timelines and stuff. How do you know you're sending them to the right future? And they basically said something about, oh yeah, we're using coordinates from this Terminator skull. How does that make sense? Because the good Arnold is a Terminator. Why would they need the other Terminator skull? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. In the words of the angry video game nerd, what were they thinking? I will say this. J.K. Simmons is in the movie, and he's probably like the only good thing in the movie. That and Arnold awkwardly smiles. The first time it's funny because it happened in Terminator 2. The second time it just feels creepy. Actually, I think it happens like 3 or 4 times in the movie. And throughout this whole movie, Sarah and Kyle Reese never get along. They're not going to like each other. So John Connor really should not exist in the first place. Matt Smith should have just been the enemy in this whole movie. My final verdict on Terminator Genisys is it was god-awful. It is not worth your time. Do not watch it. It is one of the worst movies I had seen of that year that it came out. I want to say 2015. I'm not even sure. It screwed up my brain that much that I do not even remember what year Terminator Genisys came out. And I really hope James Cameron gets back into making Terminator movies, and hopefully he doesn't pull a Ridley Scott and make the series suck like Ridley Scott did to Alien Covenant. Which is very sad because Ridley Scott did the first Alien. So anyway, that's my rant on the Terminator movies. Basically, 1 and 2, great. Salvation, great. 3 is okay. There's some good games. I might get into that someday, but this video has gone on long enough. And talking about Terminator Genisys, I really want to play some Overwatch or something and just shoot the hell out of things, because that movie just really made me angry. It really took something from my child. You know what? All you guys who complain about Star Wars Episode 1 saying how it pretty much ruined your childhood about the Star Wars movies, that's what Terminator Genisys did to me, okay? Terminator Genisys, which is god-awful. It was god-awful. Do not watch it. Why it hasn't... Why? You know what? I think I know why it has Y in the title. I think I know why they threw a Y in Genisys. Because why the hell does anything in that movie make any sense? It doesn't. It shouldn't exist. So why did they put it in? Have a good one. I'm not.